Welcome back to theCUBE. We are coming to you here from Las Vegas. We are covering Dell Technologies World 2026, and we are going under the hood of what exactly is happening as AI moves from experimentation to deployment. I'm joined by my co-host, John Furrier, and joining me now are two folks who have been in this partnership for quite a while. Bob Ward, Principal Architect at Microsoft, and Robert Sonders, Technical Staff, Global Engineering Technologist at Dell. Welcome, guys.
Glad to be here.
Thanks
back at theCUBE, man, excited.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So, a lot happening, and I know in your space, in this relationship, a lot has happened in a year. We've had some big announcements this week. Maybe let's start there. Give us the lowdown.
Rob, you've got some great stuff to announce.
Well,
right?
so we sat here a year ago,
Yeah.
and there were some things I couldn't mention, which Dell Automation Platform and the big announcement there. But now we're sitting here on Tuesday, and Arthur announced about Dell Automation Studio, which is now really allowing customers to build even more automation on top of all our platforms using things like Azure Local, also coming with Dell Private Cloud, underneath the Dell Automation Platform umbrella, and then we can take Studio and automate even further, maybe bringing in all that AI goodness. Tell me about SQL AI or SQL Server 2025.
Well, I mean, I was here a year ago. We were just announcing the public preview of SQL Server 2025. That's our flagship database at Microsoft. A lot of people know it. In fact, you may not know this, but Dell is the largest install base of SQL Server in the world.
Wow.
So people trust SQL Server, they trust the Dell platform, and we announced at our public preview some AI integration. Well, we've gone general available. We pick years for names of products like SQL Server so we don't miss the name. So we launched it last November. And the key architecture for AI capabilities is integrating with things like embedding models for vector searching, or chat completion models for AI agents. But we do it all inside the engine, the SQL Server engine. And the great part that we partnership with Dell about is that we can connect to anything on premises.
Yes.
I can connect to Azure Local, Dell NVIDIA Factory. We just got a framework built in, so it doesn't matter where you're running these AI models, we can easily integrate with it. And then you've showed me with the automation suite, you could automate that together, right?
Yeah, because you mentioned it, AI now is here, right? We talked about it for a long time, but now let's do it. Well, now we're doing it with our automation suites that we have. If we want SQL Server in the mix, we want Azure Local in the mix.
Right.
Maybe we even want AKS, Kubernetes.
Right, exactly.
Right, because a lot of AI runs with Kubernetes, so we can automate all this now and make it easy. It really is the easy button
Exactly.
to deploy all of these different ecosystems, wherever you want them. And we can hook them, Azure Local, yes.
Right.
Maybe up to Azure, we can build a complement. Wherever the customer, we meet, we bring the AI to wherever the data is, right? This is the story.
That's right.
So AI is here, it's happening, right? We hear that. Bring this to life for us though. Give us some true customer work cases, examples of how exactly this is happening in the field. Like where are you seeing the opportunities play out?
Yeah, healthcare is an industry that I see quite a bit that still would, needs to, in a lot of cases, want to run their entire workload, their data on premises or in a private cloud environment. And yesterday at this event, I showed a couple good examples of that. One with like a clinic on the edge, where they're going to start running maybe, using Dell Technologies with SQL, with AI models, all run on an edge device. Think about running at a clinic, right? The second example is like a hospital system. Totally Dell private cloud, running maybe NVIDIA AI Factory with AI models, running maybe SQL Server as devices in hospital rooms and so forth. So, we can easily put this together, and the key thing for us is doing it securely. I'm sure you've seen this before, that running AI securely with data is paramount. So if I can control it on-prem, first of all, that's great, because I have full control of it. But for us, we use the SQL Server engine as that security blanket to access data with AI in a very, very secure, encrypted way. So healthcare is certainly a big one, finance, manufacturing. We've already had several customers put this combination together with those industry examples.
You mentioned healthcare, manufacturing.
Yeah.
Well, that falls right into everything we're bringing with Dell Automation Platform, SQL Server, Dell Distributed Private Cloud, another announcement today. That was the product formerly known as Native Edge. So we can put that everywhere, anywhere in a hospital. Central location, SQL Server running on Azure Local, all on premises. But that's nice that Rob said all that, but let's make this actually happen with a blueprint, with a deployment, and make it all easy to manage day one and day two.
So connect the dots. So Michael Dell and then Jeff Clark again here on stage today on his keynote. He talks about the operating model, this AI operating model. The automation platform is a long game play. You see that in the announcement. So if you're going to be an operating model, how does this stuff translate to the autonomous side of the things? The self-driving enterprise, whatever word you want, because the infrastructure's now got agents.
Right.
You mentioned some of the examples. How does that kind of narrative operating model fit into what you guys are doing?
Well, I mean, we can put really the agents as close to the data as we want, or where the data is being generated, and that's maybe sourced back again to SQL Server if we need to get back to a central repository. And that's the beauty of what we bring with all of that automation.
Connecting SQL to the system.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then we have partners that come over the top and maybe want to build custom solutions on top of these AI systems that we're deploying at an edge, near edge, far edge, and then back to a central private location.
Give some use cases.
Yeah, I mean, again, the hospital is a perfect one for me because of the fact that they want to run it all in the private cloud, but they want to do agentic operations in these hospitals. For example, in a patient room, they want to be able to go into a digital chart using SQL Server as a data source and say, I need clinical recommendations, right? And that's going to power off some sort of job that may go submit an order within the hospital itself, but using AI technology behind the scene to go make those decisions with the data. So anything you think about that is task-oriented, anything that can be asynchronously submitted, but it's got to be secure with your data, that's what we're seeing, and that's what we're using AI agents for.
So when we think about the why, right, when we think about the decisions that are happening now across IT decision makers and industry, there's a lot happening in a very short space of time, and sovereignty and control is definitely a big, big part of this conversation, right? So we think about control planes, data planes, the kind of total cost of ownership element to that, the convenience element to that. What are you guys actually hearing and seeing from customers in the field? Like, what is really driving the decision making? For example, to use Azure versus using just a self-managed Dell private cloud.
Well, let's use Dell Private Cloud to deploy Azure Local on premises, that's the sovereign part of it, in country, in region, right? And then manage it through the common control plane, which would be the hooks to Azure through Azure Arc.
Yeah, Azure Arc. I think Azure Arc is one of the key pieces for us at Microsoft for this control plane idea. Because in Azure, you have the control plane built within the data center itself publicly in a public cloud. But if you want Azure Local, how am I going to actually still be able to connect myself in a way that makes sense to manage multiple Azure Locals, for example?
Well, we also have to life cycle that hardware too.
Right.
So that's where Dell Private Cloud maintains that compatibility and gives customers the confidence they can keep moving forward, because you don't want too much drift. If you're in the public cloud, that's done for you. If you're in a private space, we do it via our day two operations.
Yeah, again, to me, Arc is a beautiful part of the control plane because it allows me to manage multiple different Azure resources, whether that's running in a public cloud or Azure Local. I get connected to be able to look at billing information, I get connected to get updates, so I don't have to do patching anymore. And then for us, the data plane is SQL Server. I mean, a well-known database engine that just is powering not just your traditional relational database models, but again, I'm using it to do agentic experiences using the power of the T-SQL language, what everybody kind of knows, right? So if I use that as a data plane and I'm connected to private, secure AI models running on Dell platforms, I've got Azure Arc to go connect Azure Local, I have both those things. I have both control plane and data plane.
So that's a perfect scenario for sovereignty because you can now cross domains, boundaries, multi-cloud, whatever environment.
That's right.
So that's a key element. How does that play out from a deployment standpoint? Take us through okay, how does that work? You mentioned Kubernetes, obviously cloud native.
Yeah.
So first we got, for the on-premises solution, we're going to use Azure Local, Dell Private Cloud, deploy that on-premises. The beauty of what that does is we start at the tin. We start in the box, we're maintaining hardware, firmware updates, rolling that through. Once we get to a point, then we connect to the cloud control plane. Azure bits come down, SQL Server can be loaded through Azure. We could do it even with a custom blueprint if it's a specific need, however we want to do that, however customers want to do that. But that's the full life cycle for that type of deployment.
Yeah, I mean, using the automation combination with what Local provides, since it is Azure in a box in a way, right? You have that complete autonomous of deploying virtual machines, Kubernetes services, AI models, SQL servers, Linux, Windows, all of that just comes together, just like I was doing myself in the public cloud.
SQL Server running in a container in Kubernetes also, right?
Correct.
We talked about this many, many years ago. We did, and that was in some ways a bridge too far, but now it's commonplace, because if you have AI, you have Kubernetes somewhere, so now everybody's comfortable with it.
So the storage and computer separate.
Yes.
And so you can move AI to the data.
Yes.
As they said on stage.
Yes.
That becomes one of the key value propositions.
Yes, yes. Same
Well,
thing.
I kind of look at you bring your data to AI, because I think people are looking in terms of if they're forced to go to public cloud, they're thinking about moving their data up to AI technologies running there, which is great. We can do that with Azure, right? But if I want to run AI locally, like why not just have my data with AI just coupled near each other, right? And the architectures we're building with both SQL and Azure Local, which is really nice. We have customers in both worlds. They're in public cloud, they're on-prem. It's the same. It's the same architecture, it's the same code base, all of it runs similar, so if somebody's going to deploy both, they don't have to learn two different skills to do it.
And Bob, just to, obviously we've both been using SQL Server.
Yeah.
The ecosystem and so many people use SQL Server and they've been using it forever and there's such a community around this.
That's right.
Right? And now having AI right there, it's a beautiful place to have all
It's interesting because I've been talking about AI now for a couple of years. A lot of people want to know how do I turn it off. I don't want to use it, I'm very scared of it. But now that I've started to teach them how to use SQL Server as a trusted data source with it together, they're starting to kind of get it, a little bit familiar with it, and understand the limitations of when to use it and when not to use it, especially if you control the models that you use. And if I think about what I think about in Dell AI Factory is a really good example. Using like NVIDIA models and NVIDIA hardware, those are trusted brands and names that are people used to. It's not like I'm just going to Hugging Face and pulling down a model of the day, right? So once I start bringing in the more enterprise feel for this, people get a little bit more open to discussing it.
You get a large install base with Dell.
Yeah.
Now the theme here is connect the data. That's step one.
That's right.
How does that work? That's in the platform, that's local?
Yeah, it can be. Like SQL Server itself is a good example of that connect to your data. If that's running on Azure Local, it could be in a virtual machine, it could be in Kubernetes services, but I'm able to automatically connect it with like NVIDIA Factory as an example, because all our AI technology is just REST-based. We're just talking REST to AI hosting systems to exchange data or do inferencing or embedding or vector search. So it's very well connected, it's easy to do, and it's all just in a private cloud, and then you can automate it with your technology.
We also have to mention AI Factory, you heard this also, right? It could be another, these environments could be another source for AI Factory. Correct. Very easily.
Absolutely. All connected on your private network.
So when we think about, bringing AI to your data or not, right? This kind of mixed message right now around what the world of on-prem looks like and what it will look like 5 years from now. We know that it's going to be largely decentralized, right? We know that one thing is, potentially, it's not a good idea anymore to keep your data in one place.
Right.
Okay, and it's when we think about sovereign AI and AI on the edge and all of these different longer tail opportunities to enterprise that we weren't so excited about maybe 5 years ago, or terms that it didn't even exist, they're now very opportunistic. What are you guys seeing there in terms of especially from the perspective of Azure, and Dell and this partnership, how are those opportunities playing out in the field? Like, are these new customers? What is that TAM for you like?
I mean, that's why hybrid is still, to me, a key technology that we work on together, because I don't have a single customer that's running just on Dell on-prem anymore with SQL Server. They're running both SQL in Azure, they're running now SQL in our Microsoft Fabric, they're running it totally on-prem, and I need this consistent way of doing it, but I need a connected way of doing it. And to me, that's why Arc is a technology that allows me to still make that bridge. So as long as I've got that type of technology like Arc or Local that's consistent as a cloud, that now I can expand and do what I want. I can shift and decide. Maybe I've got a couple customers who may decide to go, I'm in a public cloud, I'm going to come back on-prem.
It's a choice. We give
choice, but the experience is consistent now,
yes,
right?
Yes.
It's flexible and consistent. Because of the fact I've got that right architecture, Azure Local being just running Azure, SQL running in any of these environments, I can pick and choose what I want, and the experience and development experience is the same.
Yes, yes.
We hear a lot about data gravity, right? That's another huge topic right now. Again, seems like somewhat of a buzz term. What is your experience, your field understanding of, how again, that is a central part of this whole conversation, right? We've talked a lot here at Dell Tech World this week about memory, about TOPS, about all of these key parts of this formula to make these systems run as quickly and as instantaneous as they need to. But we know that there are challenges, right? Data has always been a struggle. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with SQL from my time at Microsoft, I can tell you. But maybe kind of give us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, for me, you said love-hate with SQL, but one of the great things about it's been pretty consistent experience to go use the database itself. The security model is very consistent, the same. The performance model is the same. And the availability model is very, very flexible. The fact that I can combine AI now inside the engine itself, I can do AI technologies with something I'm familiar with, that opens the ability for me not to have to go move all this data all the time anymore. Because before we had this AI technology built in, people had to go take the SQL data, go move it somewhere else, do AI processing, and bring it back into SQL.
Find the data.
We don't have to do that anymore. No. We don't do it. We can do it all within the same engine, the same T-SQL interface they know and love, and not have to actually move the data around. So just pick your model, run it in the right place, and keep your data in a database you know and trust.
All right, guys, great job. I mean, this AI factory, distributed computing is here, and it's just getting started. It feels like we're in this, cloud on-prem connected environment, fully hybrid. That's a done deal. You mentioned Kubernetes. Yeah. Then you got the edge coming, seeing what's happening with the hyper-converged edge. Yes. More AI intelligence is getting injected in.
Everything is moving faster and faster. I'm having so much, I was telling Bob when we were standing over there, I'm having so much fun, the most fun I've had in probably 25 years right now with all the tools that we just really have at our fingertips. Using AI for all the things, my own programming assistant who works 24/7. So works a little bit longer than me, not that much.
The biggest difference between last year and this year's interview is the use of AI technology to go do all these things.
Yes.
To deploy the technology, to manage it and so forth. That's just going to keep going. We're going to see that.
What's next?
Yeah.
What's this year? What's going to happen next year?
Next year? What are we
going to talk preview. About? What are you guys working on? What are the key things you're thinking about? What are you optimizing for?
For example, here's one thing that we're thinking about is that how do we use agent technology to help people just manage databases? Like simple stuff like that. Because today you can go into like Claude Desktop or something and say, help me go tune a query. Could we put that inside our engine somehow to help people keep these more efficient? I've got customers running Dell systems that are managing hundreds of SQL servers and they're struggling to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. It's hard, it's still good. But can I use agents to help me go do those kind of tasks?
I mean, I think SQL, you love it, but at the same time you say, oh, only got to hire a SQL person to do it. I mean, it's a language.
Yeah.
It's a query language and it's lingua franca for data. You can just abstract away and put intelligence on it and make an AI builder or agent, digital worker, manage it so you get the best of both worlds.
Well, we have,
same thing for you guys,
yes, right? We have AI, our agentic layer with AI ops that we're putting over the top of all of those platform, automation platform solutions. Everything is going to be part of that to look and literally just chat with an agent about storage or compute or what we need to do to make this more performant, add more, take away. It's all dynamically. So where's the human anymore, right? I guess occasionally just checking in.
Yeah, and there's opportunities to do some exploration. What are better queries? What are better prompts?
Yes.
So a lot of cool stuff hiding in the data.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Robert, Bob, it's one thing's for sure, there is so much opportunity right now to really help enterprises drive value, so can't wait to see what you guys are talking about when we're back here, hopefully in 2027.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, that was fun.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm Gemma Allen, joined by John Furrier. We are on the ground here in Las Vegas covering Dell Technology World 2026, where all the live action is happening. Some great conversations coming up. Stay tuned.